Hey, what a flippity flop though! This is Stranger or Big Moose, and we're here at the Faultarian Journal, number 16. Holy guacamole, ladies and gentlemen! I just want to say this is number 16 on FHN, which means that this is number 27 or something in total. We have taken 2 weeks off in total. One when we've transitioned over to FHN, and one when I went on vacation, which was like 2 weeks ago. So that's incredible. We've been doing this for over half a year now. I'm super excited to get it rolling. And as usual, we got it called Art today because in 0.6, they did add some item art. We have the special guest host today, Kodiris. You may not know him, but you're going to get to know him because this man is super fantastic. Kodiris is the lead developer of the FHN website, of the Hero Builder, and something else that we cannot leak just yet. We can't do it yet. So, Kodiris, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much got it straight on the spot. Basically, what I do for FHN is just anything website right now. When tournaments launch, I'll do a little bit of the tournament things. But to what Stranger was saying at the end, we might be able to talk about it a little bit, just to put it out there.
We'll get something. We'll get something in.
We'll get a little something in there.
We'll get a little
So,
something.
I see Norweginator popped in. I miss you.
Nice.
It's been a long time. It's been 2 days. So yeah, that's pretty much about me.
Yeah. And as usual, guys, I need a third monitor now that we're doing this webcam fancy shtick. So I got the chat up on my phone. So if you see me doing this a lot, it's because I'm looking at the phone. Yeah, so let's bring up the act screen. So today we're calling it art. And why are we calling it that? Is because 0.6, they finally added something smooth, something beautiful into the game that makes your eyes, that is eye candy for yourself and for all the players. Item art for all the legendary items. And as usual, we got it broken down in Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. So Act 1, item art, the update, balancing, all hail JVQ. Is art really the fix? Is an extra topic. Then we got Act 2. We got 0.6. Is anything broken in the game? I'd love for everyone that's currently tuned in to think, when we get there, what do you think is broken in the game that needs immediate fixing? Or not something that could be better, but something that is absolutely broken, that makes it to the point where you would argue you don't. It makes you not have fun consistently when this situation happens. And then we got HUD waiting party as usual. New heroes, how are they feeling now? It has been 3 weeks now. I'd love to see how they changed. Shout out to Balix. I got the stream labels to work today. It's only been 27 weeks. It's fine. An extra topic. The 3 Raptor names are finally down to the final 3. And then Act 3, we got Fault. Why does it seem like people aren't playing as much? Is it because we're getting back into fall? The world's coming back alive from COVID, or at least in Canada where I am, it is, because where I live, we have 1 case per 1.8 million people in all of Atlantic Canada, which is the best statistic in the world. I just wanted to brag about where I live a little bit. Where I live, I only has 500,000. And then matchmaking, smoothness, that says smooth, but supposed to say smoothness. And as always, a question and answer with the community.
Damn, speaking is hard.
Speaking is hard when you're not breathing.
Yeah, that'll do it.
That'll do it. So while we're doing that, we're going to be showing Norweginator's gameplay today. While we talk.
Close your eyes. It's gonna
while
be
we
painful.
talk. Ooh. Norweginator didn't know I was going to show his gameplay. He didn't know. So, now they can't roast my Narbash. So, Kodiris.
Yes.
We finally got 0.6 and we got 0.61, which was just eliminated something that the community raged about and fixed some game-breaking bugs.
Yes,
so 0.6 entirely. That's the big update. Then we got a hotfix. And I wanted to say, how did that feel? Like, how does 0.6 feel to you? Do you think it's a step in the right direction for Fault? Do you think it's gonna bring players back. What do you think off the top of your head there?
I think with actually most of the patches, I feel like they are going into the right direction. I think from what I see in the community, there's definitely been, in my opinion, a little bit of overreaction to some of these changes. But that happens
Mhm.
with a lot of it. But from what I see, like the devs recognize when things are broken. They're not oblivious to it, and
Mhm.
I think the community can be rest assured that the game is in good hands. And the best thing that
Did
they
I
could
not
do
switch the
is
fucking OBS screen? Am I
probably not.
actually a piece?
There you go.
Okay, that never happened. That never happened.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, so what I was saying was, I just have the patch notes up as well, is, for the most part, I think everything is heading the right direction. I think for MOBAs especially, it's really hard to balance. And
Mhm.
following a new game, I think everyone is being very strict on them because I think part of it is the money that people put into it that you normally maybe don't put into it. But I do think, maybe it's time to um is that
It's all right. We heard your background for a second. That's okay. Okay. So as you were saying, sorry.
Uh, hold on. I have something running in the back. There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so as I was saying was, I think people can maybe take their criticism and make sure it's constructive because I see a lot of criticism that the game can't use, and that's why I think these patches are very important. So,
Hmm. I agree. I agree. Yeah, I think the patch is good. I think Fault is still in the going in the right direction. I really do believe so. Some of the decisions they make, like in the patches, like it's how do I word this? It's subjectively not what I would do. Uh, and it kind of seems like it's out of nowhere a little bit. And then I play it, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I see the reasoning. Or it's absolutely something kind of foolish, like the latest minion change, which was in 0.6.0, and they took it out literally within 24 hours, or maybe it was 48
right.
hours on 0.6.1. They just got rid of it. They said, nah,
Yeah.
it's foolish. It just makes too much snowballing on top of the already snowball that is a MOBA. Because MOBAs are
And, and
just
and that's also like another thing to note is like they're still testing a lot of things, and this is like the perfect stage in my opinion to be throwing out these what seemingly crazy changes because people don't like them, they voice them and they take it out, right? Like
exactly.
um there's no what if we do this and what if we do that, right? They do it, they see the consequence, and then they move it.
The last thing I think we're gonna see is the thing that Fault is doing right. That if there's anything we can take away from Paragon is at least in my opinion, when version 42 came out,
Yes.
aka New Dawn, aka when they added the 3 card system and added the
Yeah.
gems. Epic Games publicly said they could not revert back because for whatever reason that data's lost. They literally updated and lost it.
Which means
Uh
that they were never planning on going back, right? They thought it was
yeah.
they put all their cards into that
Which
change.
which like I you know what? With that latest update on PlayStation, which like obviously it's just them getting game files, they went back to version 38, which means that they could have went back if they wanted to. They just lied to us. But anywho, that's just stuff that we now know 2 years later. But yeah, uh, they Fault is always making sure they're in a position that they can go back. Like they if something doesn't work, they can go back. Like we're technically in beta stage and an early access, a true early access, even if the word has been construed by larger companies in the gaming industry. Um, and they're gonna always make sure that they can revert or change anything. They're never gonna go like, "Yep, we're going to the next update. Might as well delete the last one." Like that's never gonna happen.
Right.
Um,
And that's what you want out of your studio, right? You want
yeah,
the game studio that you support to be adaptable. You don't want them to be
exactly.
like, we kind of just made this decision and, we're just gonna stick to it, even if it's a bad one.
Yeah, yeah. Also
Yeah,
100%
and Lady
this.
Fifth has a good point, which is like, yeah, it's fault. It's not Paragon. You know.
100%, 100%. But you can't blame people for thinking like let's say you're not in the Discord. You're not on the Twitter. You're just doing Google search Paragon assets. Free. Fault pops up. What's Fault? You see the trailer. Holy shit, it's Paragon. Like that, and
Yeah.
then you buy the game. Like so.
Yeah.
The mistake is understandable. The mistake is understandable, uh, but it's definitely a different game. It's definitely a different game, and you can just feel that by playing, watching, all that stuff. Uh, People just. I know it's a kick to your nostalgia, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a hurt to your nostalgia feelings, but like Fault ain't Paragon. Like it's just not. It's never gonna be Paragon. It might one day have some great qualities that Paragon had, but it is gonna be a different game. It's gonna play differently. It's gonna be balanced differently. It's gonna look differently, so on and so forth. Um, that's a really good point. So in Act One, I had to put the item art in and J Offlane, aka JVQ.
I'm excited to talk about it, honestly.
Yeah, it's like I literally said at the start of the stream, Our Holiness JVQ, because this I2D item art for all the legendary items, number one, that's a ridiculous amount of work. So, and on top of that, the quality of this 2D item art from someone that started off basically making tattoos before he ever joined Fault, but he did do a lot of community stuff. I just
Mhm.
it's actually fantastic. It is literally AAA quality level art. Like that's how good it is, in my opinion. Uh,
It looks better than the Smite art.
it
I like
really
looking at it all
does.
day.
It really does.
I look at it all day.
It's actually awesome. And it's that little bit of extra stuff that like it helps the new players out. So hopefully we see a slight. It's not going to be major, but just a slight higher new player retention from the item art. And
Mhm.
let's just look at that. Anywho, um, and it makes the game more fun. When you're trying to play 8 hours a day, you're not trying to look at these square weird symbols all day. Like the item art really does change. Now there's still like 91 items to go or something in total, but like all the legendary items are done, completely done, which obviously that's the main priority and it makes sense, you know what I mean. uh
Yeah, I agree.
I'm
A
just
huge
gonna
amount of work, and yeah.
yeah, it's it's a talent. JV, thank you. uh I just JV is also J Offline in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, and I just want to say it one more time, thank you. From day one that you started talking in the community publicly, even before you were a dev with Strange Matter Studios, you have always been fully for the community and putting in 110% effort into everything you do because you want to see this game succeed. And you're making waves, man. You're making actual waves. Like people are praising you in every corner of the Fault community right now for your art and for everything you've done. So, thank you. Thank you. I also just want to catch up on what Deaf God and Lady Fifth had to say. I like they were willing to try new things and they openly admit mistakes. 100%. That's what it means to be an indie company. I think an indie company to me means that if you should be able to have that direct connection, you know, I think that's really important. I think, did I just get a fucking ad? Anywho, I think you should always be able to have that in every company, to be honest. But it's just a lot harder when you got 300 employees and millions of players, and
Mhm.
you know. But with a indie company like this, I love that they openly are like, listen, this is it. This is how we're doing it. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Keep it up.
Yeah, and I think it also speaks to say that everyone like supports this game. I think this game is in a way everyone's kind of baby, like for the most part. And when I see this a lot in like general chats everywhere, but like I think people need to remind each other that, everyone wants this game to succeed, or for the most part, everyone does, right? Like, it doesn't matter that someone's opinion is different than yours. They're fighting for it just as much because they think it's the correct thing, right? So, I think in terms of like how people talk to devs or how people interact with each other, like you have to remind yourself like there's some
Mhm.
more respect to it.
Listen, I'm just gonna say it now while we're here. You guys want leaks? You guys want leaks about FHN stuff? There's currently leaks while you're watching this that you can see. You just got to know where to look. I'll just leave it at that. Uh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, sorry, Kadiris. I got way off. I got way off topic.
No, you're good. You're good.
I got my brain went this way.
Got excited.
It went
We're all
this way for
excited.
a second. It went this way. To bring it back, Iron Art is fantastic. But what are the other changes that it brought? It changed the jungle. Okay. Changed the jungle minions, but they did revert that. Awesome. It balanced Boris in a unique way. We'll say it was a different way than I was expecting, and I think that other people were expecting. And then they renamed a few items for whatever reason. I don't understand that point. Um, Even if the names are cooler. And yeah. So I wanted to ask the question, Kadiris, to you and to everyone watching and listening. Does item art make the game more enjoyable? Like truly, truly, does it make you want to play more and longer?
I think that's a pretty heavy loaded question. I think for most people, it could be like, oh, they're just trying to cover up some of the holes, right? But um, like we've already stated, like Jay's working on item art, he's not working on game balance, right? So like when you separate the two things, I think yes, it makes the game a whole ton enjoyable. I think like you mentioned a little bit about player retention. Um, the best way to learn for most people is visually, and
Mm-hmm.
being able to associate certain items visually. Uh, when they press tab, things are quicker. They don't have to read or whatnot. Um, I think it definitely does improve the overall quality of the game. I don't see if there's any drawbacks. I can't see them, or they're
Yeah,
probably very minor.
yeah, yeah. Because I was just thinking about it. I was thinking about it today, and I was just thinking about like the no matter how beautiful the item art is, and it does make it easier to learn, and it does make it more fun to look at, which I would agree. Why? Well, that's why people watch movies, for example,
Mhm.
right? Is it's all about the visuals. So, like, obviously, it's been proven for over 100 years now, um, that visually pleasing stuff make people want to play stuff, watch stuff, listen to stuff, yada yada yada. That's why GottaGetSwole's usually here because he got some handsome face. Uh,
I'll take that as an insult.
don't take that as an insult. Ah. Um, Listen, we all have nice faces. Um, but item art doesn't change the gameplay. It doesn't. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
doesn't. At the end of the day, like once you learn these items, uh, it's like it doesn't change the way you're going to play the game. It doesn't. Well, it might if you're new, uh, and it doesn't. It just doesn't change the feel of the game. Like it. So I was wondering, like, I see a lot. I see it all the time. You see it when you read the Twitter comments. You see it when you look at the Discord for 5 seconds, literally
yeah.
5 seconds. Um, it's you always see something about item art slash HUD,
Mhm.
about how they'll play the game once that's in. They'll give it another try, and like I think that's awesome. I think it's going to add a lot to it. It's like stuff like that, like item art and HUD itself is just like free marketing. You know what I mean? Like the game looks good. What
Right.
do you do? You got something you can now put in a video and it looks fantastic. But it's not. It might get people to try the game again, but it's not going to get people to retain the playing. You know, and that's what I'm kind of concerned about. I'm kind of concerned about a little bit. I do think it's really important. I really do. but I can I say that without like taking it back in an hour?
No, I think it's a you make a valid point because I mean a perfect analogy would be Paragon, right? Like people played Paragon because it looked different from any. I mean, the only other 3D MOBA at the time was pretty much Smite. Um, it visually was appealing. It had the aesthetics. People try it, but they don't stay for it, right? Like they stay for
Yeah,
the game. And
and
as soon as the
Paragon
game
was leap
mechanics
and
start,
bounds better looking
yeah.
than Smite was.
But even after version 42, when the mechanics started going to crap, like balance was all over the place, direction of the game was going, it visually still looked great,
It actually looked
and players
better because that's when they
yeah,
added
and
the
players
grass and everything.
right, and then players dropped, right? So I mean, your point's valid. Like these things are important to have, but obviously it goes without saying the rest of the game needs to keep up with it. You
Yeah,
know, I
absolutely.
think by the time HUD rolls around, if the game isn't in a, I guess, better enjoyment or a better state for enjoyment, then you lose a lot of those players that come back because
Yeah,
of things like visuals.
yeah.
So
And that's what and that was actually a really good point. Some I didn't actually think of until you said it. Version 42 made the game look better. Like
yeah.
that like version 42 was when Epic Games started saying we're finally at the final visuals of what we're planning this game to be. And it was version 44 I think when they officially got to the end of everything they wanted because that's when they went back to Fangtooth and yeah, anywho. And it just all looked better. Like version 42 and version 44 look very different. And version everything before version 42 looks very different. Um, and in version 42, it's a known statistic. If you just do a bit of research, 50% of the players dipped and never came back in one update. One
Yeah.
update, ladies and gentlemen. One update. That they never fixed. You know, if they fixed, they probably would have gave it another shot. But they never fixed. They tried to balance it around that patch,
Mhm.
which took them a while, and then they moved 70% of their dev team over to Fortnite, and yada yada yada. And the game died. So it's important. I'm not saying it's not. I think it's great at getting people to play,
Mhm.
but it's not good at keeping people playing. And I think that's a bit of a subjective statement I made. I think it is a very opinion based or on the retention part that I said. But I would also say it's a bit objective because we saw it happen with Paragon and we see it happen with other games as well. And I gotta hand it to Smite. Smite still looks pretty dog ass compared to most games. And
Well,
like it's actually only gained players. It's actually has more average players now than it ever did. Uh,
mhm.
Daily and weekly and monthly.
I mean, there's also the argument on the other side that visuals don't matter because a game like WoW is like it's got its own style, but like, come on, visually, like
Uh,
not exactly the most killing game. Gonna anger some WoW fans out there, but um, no,
so
yeah, I think that also brings back the point of what we said about a studio being like adaptable, right? Because I think for a lot of Fault players, when these kind of changes happen that are, for better or worse, like they're just a little rough. I think they get a little bit panic because they start to see like what happened to Paragon kind of resurface. Um, but I think we already made the distinction between like Epic Games and SMS and the two different mentalities that they have. So I think the way I look at it is during this early access period, it definitely is a time to be making these kind of mistakes. And I will definitely be more concerned when full release comes around and we're still making these mistakes.
yeah,
Um,
there's
yeah, because
there's t-
until they push marketing, like that's when it's like things actually will cost you, right?
yeah.
So
There's two things that I saw in chat because I was doing this while you were talking, reading chat on my phone
mhm,
that I wanted to make a note of because I think they were their points worth bringing up. Number one, what Norweginator said in 6 months' time. I'm hoping this game's a free release by then, but we don't know. It's tentative, right? Everything's tentative once you that far out, to a
right.
certain extent. And I got two ads this time. Are you? Um, when we look back in 6 months time, we're gonna be giggling about this stuff. I really do believe that, because I really do believe in Strange Matter and just how their leaps and bounds of where they've gotten. They they definitely get stuff done the fastest, and I think they do a pretty bang up job of getting it done in a good way. In a good way. Hey, he turns
Yeah.
cam on. You guys can't see it though, but Norweginator just turned his cam on the stream.
That goes to say, like, to what Dangerous said in chat, which is,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
And this is
really you really invest in the people, especially in this stage of a product or a game or whatever it is. You're investing in the people, and you know, I believe in the dev team. I think a lot of people believe in the dev team. So, you know, I to me that's just another reason you stick around.
mm-hmm.
For better or for worse. No game ever has like the smooth rise to power, or at least no game that's still around. So
Yeah, exactly. And I want to bring another point that Danger said. He said, I think investing in the people is literally like that. That's just how it is. You know what I mean?
mm,
Someone also said, like, people still play RuneScape all the time, and that game has no visuals. So obviously, visuals follow on fall very low on the food chain, unfortunately, or pyramid of priorities,
mm,
unfortunately. Um, and there's some. I'm just gonna read it. I'm gonna read it because I don't know if I can say it in words even close to as good. Most people play games that have gains, and that is why tournaments and rewards are huge to draw people in. So
yes,
that meaning they have some kind of reward for you playing or for you watching, or the gains, as in that's the new hit game. Like everyone's playing Among Us right now. Like that game don't got good visuals, but
mm,
people are playing it because the big streamers are playing it. Tournaments are super important. Unfortunately, just like uh on the SMS side, I just don't see them doing them until the game's a bit higher and a bit further along in development.
yeah.
Um, just right? Because that's like another advertising thing, right? You don't want to advertise like pretty good, pretty good. You want it to be good. You want
And
to be confident.
yeah, and I know we're not supposed to be really talking about tournaments this show, but we did like receive quite a bit of criticism, I think, for launching or announcing um, like our Challenger League. And I read through a lot of the criticism, and
Listen,
obviously
I read. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, obviously a big majority of it is the game's not in a good stage. Like, why are you trying to force competitive down our throats or some stuff like that? But the reasoning behind it kind of ties into everything we're talking about here, which is we need to have a solid foundation for when the game actually goes, in our eyes blows up. Because if
Mm-hmm.
we do all of our scrubbing out and, bug fixing for our side, then we lose a lot of, player base on
Mm-hmm.
tournaments and someone else can take over. Um, but also because, there's a lot of people that are on the opposite end of the spectrum where they feel like there's nothing to fight for right now. There's nothing to really like keep grinding the game and keep them going if they're already towards the top. So I think even having slightly scuffed tournaments where the game has like bugs and stuff, people play with the bugs every day. So let's just kind of treat it like a temporary ranked mode rather than this full on esports, you know, big deal for now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
some small competitive weekend thing to do with your friends. And I think with that vision, you know, I think tournaments can help grow the game. You get more people taking the game seriously, more strategies out there. The studio themselves will have really competitive games to look at and see balancing issues at the top. So that's for sure.
It's like, as you're saying, like, it's just we did get a lot of we did get
Hold
a
on.
lot of like, we got a lot of praise at FHN, and a lot of hype and a lot of yays, a lot of positive feedback um for announcing our tournaments, and like our plan to do tournaments. We announced this stuff back before the game was even out in early access. It was
That's
the
true.
first official announcement, and then we did like a bigger one just recently,
Mhm.
with it, and we do get negative feedback, and the negative feedback is always the game's not in a place for competitive. And I'm gonna be honest, I just hard disagree. What is a competitive game to you? Like, define what a competitive game is. And in my opinion, it really just comes down to people. If you're like, if you want to get better every day, you play a game, then it's competitive. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, it like look at listen. Fortnite has a competitive scene. It's quite massive.
Yes.
It's an arcade battle royale.
Mm.
It has a competitive scene because people love the game and they think it's fun and they want to get better.
But
Same.
also because there's a level in skill. There's a progression in skill.
There's a huge. Yeah, there is.
Yeah. You could have competitive Minecraft if you want it. I'm sure there is actually, now that I think about it. But
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to answer a question that Ray Rowe, or however you pronounce it, um, asked in chat about Spectator. So yeah, we don't have anything official for Spectator, but we have like a ballpark and we have an idea and we have like a hope, right? Nothing's confirmed. So
Well, I mean,
um,
no, I just go after Trello. It says it's gonna be
yeah,
then, so I'm hoping it's gonna be then. It's just kind
yeah,
of as
that's
simple as
we
that.
literally we literally have no confirmation, but we're very flexible. So whenever they do decide, announce it, like we'll be ready to go. Um,
We'll be ready to roll.
yeah, just snap our fingers and we'll have it hopefully. um, yeah, I think Dangerous had another good point, which is I see a lot of people taking Elo very seriously. Which is in a way kind of good because it gives, like you said, people something to grind for. It allows them to not just play the game, and for people who are really, passionate about it and want to play it every day, add something for them to look forward to. But I see a lot of toxicity towards it, and like he said, I think it's just important to remember that it's just for testing. It's development. Like
Yeah,
I think of myself as a tester in this space. Like
yeah,
I'm not really taking everything with, I take everything with a grain of salt for sure.
I agree. I agree. And I just wanted to touch back on the competitive. I think it's important.
Mhm.
I think it builds a community. I think competitive has to come from the community, and I think it's I just think it's only gonna be good for the game. Like, I just don't see the downside. Like, I see people saying that there's arguments to make it more difficult to run a competitive scene. I can argue that. But that doesn't mean it's not possible and it's not plausible in my opinion. I think it's good. Uh uh yeah, we'll go. I do see Mr. Mr. Ryan Red in the chat. Uh, if you guys don't know, Ryan Red is in some crazy black metal band, or I shouldn't say black metal. Uh, the one before that, the one that's not that crazy all the time. Metal, I think it's just metal or death or hard metal. It's actually pretty good. He's been posting a lot of videos of it on Twitter. You should go watch him. Check out his band. Um, it's all a ruse. He's crazy. Oof. Oof, 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 oof. Okay.
I always hide my feelings around Ryan. I never say what I truly think. I don't
Yeah,
know what he can do to me.
it's he dyed his hair and beard red. That's true. Okay. So, Critics, I would say that's the end of Act 1. I'd say we're going to transition to Act 2 there. But before we transition into Act 2, I wanted you to point out the first line. The first line, the first little leak there.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Listen, man, it's in your webcam. Well, what does it say?
Wait.
What does it say? What is the
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Oh, um, maybe something to do with FHN's website.
does it? I
Maybe.
think that first line says fire Balix though, doesn't it?
Well, I didn't write that. I
I
think someone
no,
else wrote that.
I didn't write it too. Like
Yeah, no, I think Ryan broke into my house and wrote that
yeah.
because it's not me. I would never say such a thing. Um, but no, I definitely there's a couple of things I do want to talk about regarding FHN at the end.
Okay.
So, if there's any incentive to keep around,
Well, we can't, we can't,
there
we
it
can't, we
is.
can't leak too much though, because it's a long work in progress. Still, we still got leaps and
Yeah.
bounds to go.
No,
So,
there's definitely no date. I'm not going to be saying a date. That's for sure.
yeah, I just got a DoorDash commercial.
Oh my God. All right, just move on to Act Two. We're
Okay.
giving these companies too much money.
Oh, Amazon. Um. Okay. So Act Two, we got 0.6. Is what we got. Is what we got. And why I put that in the update is because in the Act title is because there is a few things that change on top of the item art that were quite the large changes to the patch or to the game. Uh, the biggest, in my opinion, being the jungle change. The red side jungle now only has 2 minion camps instead of 3, and that like breaks all traditional rules of what a MOBA is, like all of them. Like
Right.
that is reinventing the wheel right there. Like that is doing it, and
Mhm.
and it kind of like to an extent because red buff is better than blue buff objectively. Like that's just how it is. Like red buff is never like you can be at max mana and it's whatever, but you can always red buff's just better. I don't know, it's just better. If you took the buffs out of the jungle, they're equal. Like there is no strong side jungle anymore,
Mhm.
and I love Norweginator. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I
No,
love
it's just
that guy.
every time they say Norweginator in chat, Automod just marks it as sexual content.
I have
So,
no idea why it does that though.
so I have to go in and allow everything that
I have
says
no idea
Norweginator.
why. You know what? Like, you know what I'm
No,
thinking? What is the story behind Twitch making that? Like, why is that flagged as
I
sexual content?
I have no idea.
By Twitch. By Twitch, I should say. So,
Yeah,
like, maybe, like, all I'm saying is maybe if you type in Norweginator on Google, you might see some crazy stuff.
I'm not willing to risk
Yeah,
it. My
don't
eyes are
do
too
it.
pure.
Don't do it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Um, because you never know what you might see. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, they changed the jungle. Like
Yep.
I want to say it's same jungle, but like red buff makes it so that strong side is still strong side, but it's different. It's really different. And the reasoning behind this, in my point of view, was because I was playing the game, and this is what it felt like to me. It felt like I could AFK farm my jungle, not gank. Watch the enemy jungler gank, get kills, and I'm still ahead of them in golden XP because I kept jungling and they didn't. So I think that's why they got rid of it, to try to make it like one less jungle camp. So you're kind of forced to do something else now because you can't just AFK jungle at all times. I don't know if you really could before though. Well, you definitely could for the first 15 minutes. You definitely couldn't after that
Yeah.
though.
I was not a big jungler. So this change like for me didn't affect me, but I definitely saw a lot of voiced opinions about it, and I was actually about to test it for myself this week.
It's listen, uh, I'm glad they're testing stuff. I'm not saying it's a bad change because I don't think it's bad, but you don't need to fix what ain't broken. Also, and it kind of felt like that was a little bit what was going on here. Um, Unfortunately, with this, I don't know. I don't know if it's the final change they're gonna do or not. It doesn't feel like it is going to be the final change. It felt
Yeah.
like it was just a quick change, just what to solve an issue that I don't think was really an issue. I think it was just people complained about it, and that's just how it is. Because people will complain about everything. There will always be something to complain about.
Yeah. I mean, they made the change knowing that they were trying to remove strong side jungle, right? They wanted to
Oh,
enable like it
absolutely,
says here,
absolutely.
yeah. So, you know, I guess we'll just have to see how it plays out a little bit more. My only other experience with like very competitive jungle is um, Smite, and in Smite we don't have a strong side jungle. Like they're pretty much equal in value, dependent on the game. So in my opinion, I think maybe that's why they're doing these changes.
Yeah, but Smite has unique jungle camps though, so
Yeah,
it's different, slightly different.
yeah, yeah, I feel you there.
Yeah, maybe that's it though. Like maybe that is it. Like I'm not saying it's a bad idea. It's just it felt like I got slapped from left field, and said like this is the way you should be looking at the game, is what it felt like with that. And yeah. So I wanted to ask the chat, what do you think? Do you think that eliminating the jungle camp still means that red side is still the strong jungle, or would you argue that they're more balanced, more equal? Um,
And I would even add to that, like, how do you just generally feel? Because I see like Def God, said that now that the jungle is thinner, finds himself vertically jungling, and it's easier to cripple an enemy jungler for a whole game if they get behind. So in that way, is that valuing farm? Is that devaluing farm? How
well,
do you feel about that?
yeah. There's lots of perspectives here. There's like a lot of perspectives you can go with this, right? So I want to see what people think. I want to see what people think. What's my IGN? My IGN is I'm Stranger. Is this where the party is? It's always a party when the sauce shows up. Uh, I had some horrible games yesterday. Sorry, Hydro. Uh, Jelani, she understands.
Mhm.
You think it
Yeah.
balances, but red is always better. So, if when push comes to shove, red side is still the strong side.
And I
Well,
see Dangerous said it forces the jungler to fight than to keep farming. I think that's an interesting point because to me, there's obviously a difference between forcing the jungler to engage in fights versus deathballing, and I see that the deathball word like thrown out all the time, and I do remember hearing people say that this change encourages deathballing. I mean, to me, it just means that it forces a little bit more strategy. In my opinion, I could be wrong, but you know, you can't, like you said, really AFK farm that much now.
mhm.
So you really have to start
But
thinking
did it
about
like
tactically.
this is the way I look at it. Forces you, it forces the jungler, no matter what level you are, to make a decision other than just farm. Like, and
Yeah.
you are now forced to either gank, back to base, or invade. Like that's just, or you can just run around the map and do nothing. I guess
Yeah, you need to choose like where you spend your time because I like time is
Mhm.
also a resource in this game, not just your gold, not just your max
Exactly.
stupid
Exactly.
golden
That's what
favor or
I
whatever.
do love about the jungle change is it puts a lot more value on time. It gives you more time to do stuff though. It gives you more time to make that decision, but at the same time it also forces you to make that decision because you now can't do just the jungle farm. Like you just can't. You just can't. Um so that I do think is really interesting. But does that mean that you are and like you know what? A lot of people say, well, because now you have more time to gank, that means you have more time to deathball. No, no, you don't. No, you don't. And this is why. Because they haven't, because in 0.5, they made it so that the gold on a gank from a kill gets distributed by the amount of players there. Deathballing is not when you get ganked and you're in a 2v1 situation or 3v2 situation or even a 3v1. Well, okay, 3v1's kind of deathballing. But like deathball means the team roams around and makes it and
All
just keeps
five.
smacking you. Like just
Yeah, just all
keeps like
five.
if you're that person that's behind, like you're never gonna get up. Like they're always just gonna keep they're always going to keep killing you because
Mhm.
they're not losing it from they're because you're the easier kill, obviously, because you're behind, and they're not losing anything from killing anyone else, like gaining anything. But now they got the bounties, so you get less gold for killing the same person over and over again, and the gold is distributed to people.
Yeah,
That
and I think
yeah.
I was gonna say, I think it's also important distinction that you brought up. Like deathballing, it's not just five people rotating on you. Like that's a gank. That's just a team gank that they're communicating. Like deathballing is when they don't need to farm the lanes. They don't need to sit there. They don't need to do anything mobile related, strategy related. They just group up as 5 and run every lane over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
That's death balling.
Yeah.
So, does this jungle change encourage death balling? No. I think that's pretty safe to say.
I think it doesn't because of the bounty system, the new like
Yeah.
improved, and because of the distribution of gold depending on how many people are there. Because it's
Hmm.
better for a carry if only the jungler shows up for the gank. If you're guaranteed the kill now, because now the carry is going to get more gold. You know what I mean? And if you're trying to buff your carry, if you're trying to get your carry ahead, right? Like, but if I like it, I like it. But with losing a jungle camp, you do lose the dynamic of having that off balance jungle right off the get go.
Hmm. Yeah.
You do lose that strategy dynamic, which kind of sucks. But at the same time, it's not that big of a deal because it adds the dynamic um, of now you like. There's nothing that says someone's going to start red side anymore.
Mhm.
Now, I think the only thing that could change is I think red. But can I say this? I don't know if blue buff is just not good enough compared to red buff. I think like they need like they're I don't know, maybe it's just me. I
Well, I
wish
mean,
I just
no,
I just
continue.
always prefer red buff. Like when do I not?
Um, I think it has to do with the style of play. And I'll use Smite as an example just because the only comparison I can make. When I first started playing Fault, I spammed abilities a little bit more because Smite was a fast-paced game that I came from.
Mm-hmm.
Vault plays a lot slower. You don't use your abilities as much, and if you do, you're probably not as great of a player, and that's part of the learning curve, um, especially in the early game. So in that way, when I first started playing, I didn't touch blue buff at all. Like to me, there was no value, and maybe it's because the stats weren't as strong as they needed to be. But I'm not a professional game designer or anything. I'm just speaking from my perspective. Maybe the solution is what you said. Maybe it just needs to be balanced higher to bring some value to it versus red buff. Um, or I don't know, maybe it doesn't fit. But I've never once been like, oh no, I didn't get my blue buff.
Yeah. There's been like I've been to the point like um unless I'm running like steel jungle early game, like an only early game I really care about, I just probably am giving the blue buff to the mid laner because they
Yeah.
get a lot of value out of it. Like I don't care. Like it just only thing I care about is getting the gold and XP from it. Like that's really it. Uh, but that's not to say it might be undervalued now. But we only have 16 heroes. Let a few more heroes
Oh,
come into the
that's
game
true.
that are heavily mana based as junglers, and you might see the blue buff become very valuable. And
Mhm.
right? So there is that perspective, right? Just because it's not good this game, this patch, doesn't mean it's not going to be better the next major update, right? Um, and there's always going to be something that's worse, right? Like there's always going to be like a lower tier characters, higher tier characters, lower tier buffs, higher tier buffs, right? That's just how
Yeah.
it is. I just wish there was a bit more balance on the buff a little bit because the blue buff feels more like it is a river buff to me than it does anything else. I think you know what I think. Can I say this and mean it? I think I can.
Bring back river buffs. Are you gonna say that?
Sure, we'll say that wasn't what I was going to say, but bring back river
Okay.
buffs. Bring back river buffs, please.
What were you gonna say? How
I was going
risky
to
was it?
say I think the blue buff should be changed to a speed buff instead of a mana buff,
Interesting. I never even thought about that.
just like in Smite. Go to yellow buff. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, we
And
gotta call
then,
in some
but
some
but then,
jungle
and then if
experts.
you got river buffs in the game, which come on, come on, strange matter. When are they coming? Come on, like, what are they like? Come on, like, when? Okay, like obviously they're coming. We just don't know when. Um,
River buffs over HUD. River buffs over HUD.
facts, facts, my facts. Um, when river buff comes, the blue buff might become a river buff. You know what I mean? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I
And
mean,
and then like that just I don't know.
mm,
Like, is that just does that just make sense, or like am I just talking out of my ass here? Like, am I missing something? A part of this equation? Like, am I missing a variable?
I mean, it may sound crazy now, but I mean, there's so many variables with MOBAs that you never know. Like an idea that sounds crazy could actually end up being good. And the fact that we're talking about the game like this means SMS did a good job. The
Yeah.
fact that we're able to like be like, oh, maybe they'll do this instead of I know SMS is gonna fuck it up and do something else.
Hmm.
You know, I think that's a good sign. And just keep pushing it and keep pushing comments and criticism and
Keep
constructive
letting them
criticism.
know. Keep letting them know. You know,
Constructive criticism is the key, you know?
constructive criticism is the key. Okay, and that I'm just gonna say it's we see a lot of feedback every day. I see it
Mhm,
all the time, but I'm gonna be honest. 50% of that feedback is Boris is broken. Okay,
mhm.
or I died here. This won't fun. This what did not even full sentence. This won't fun. When they meant
Yeah,
this wasn't fun. You know? Like
yeah,
I'm gonna be honest, like that, like saying Boris is broken is like 30% of a final feedback of a final thought. Like, why is he broken? Is it because of
yeah.
this one certain situation? Or was it just that he was ahead? Or is it just that he actually is broken? Like there's all kinds of stuff, right? Um,
And
just
and there's also the cases of maybe the hero feels broken because no one knows how to play against him very well. And guess what?
Mhm.
That brings back to our comment on competitive, because if you have competitive games and you watch people who know what they're doing, then you're like, oh, maybe the hero wasn't broken. I'm just playing, poorly. I don't know how to counter it.
Mhm. Yeah,
Hey, another argument for competitive.
I do believe Boris was a bit overpowered
No,
with zero point
I'm not
0.5.
saying that was
Like he
applied to Boris.
def was like I was always like, man, like is he really though? And nah, oh, he was a bit crazy. You know what I mean? Um, but it's a new concept of Paragon that we actually never got to, which means it's a completely new concept in Fault. Empowered abilities, the only one that had it was Phase, but we never saw a self empowerment. But those heroes exist in every other MOBA, and they're always very, very, very similar to what Boris's kit is.
Yeah,
So that's why people would be like, well, his Q and E are basically alts. Well, it's because they're empowered abilities and the cooldown time is crazy. Because, like, if he doubled empowered himself, you better watch the fuck out. Like, he's gonna be tough to kill. Like, he's supposed to be. Like, that's how empowered heroes work. They just, like, they can just steamroll you. If you have 100 stacks, and a Q available, and you're building, like, damage crit, or like imagine, like that, doesn't that just make sense that like he should be a dangerous hero, like if he
yeah,
double pops his abilities, which have like a 90-second cooldown on you. At like level 4 they have like 60 seconds, which is insane considering someone like Severog has like a 15-second cooldown on his ult. You know what I mean? um like, yeah, like you should probably watch out. And it's not like, and he can't stun you, like, so it's not like you can't get away. Like, as long as you got the CC, it's not
and
like
positioning. If you
that's
got
what I'm
good
saying. Like,
positioning,
it just, like, listen, I'm on the unpopular side of opinion side and say that, okay, 0.5, I think he was overpowered. But remember when they said he was overpowered when the game came out? I don't think he was overpowered then. I don't. A lot of people are gonna be like, stranger, were you playing the same game I was? I
a
just
lot of that
don't.
has to do with everyone was new too when the game first came out. So
Yeah, and no one has experience, no one as him. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So, just my
and I think that's
opinion.
part of why I think SMS is in a very tough spot too, because how do you filter, what's chalked down to inexperience and what's, I mean, yeah,
Well,
it's hard to
there's
know.
some stuff, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's ways to do it, right? Like that's why testers exist. You know, that's why the game designers exist, because they should be they're the experts. You know what I mean? Like, not saying
Yeah.
like it's just like anything. Like, I might be able to go on WebMD and be like, "Oh yeah, you got a cold," but like, ain't no way I can. A doctor's gonna be a lot better at telling you got a cold than I can. You know what I mean? And it should be the same way with the game designers and testers, in my opinion. You know, and there's always gonna be heroes that people think are broken when they're not, such as Loki and Smite. If you think Loki is overpowered in Smite,
Sorry, you're just bad at the game.
it's
Hate to break it to you.
and like he's fantastic at low levels, at like
Oh
low,
yeah.
like he is the best hero, but like he sucks. He's so
Yeah.
bad. He's so bad. It's like imagine like Kalari but worse. Like, oh, and Kalari was bad in Paragon. Like, I
Mm.
just, oh my goodness. Anywho, there's always gonna be noob stomper heroes and
Of
non-noob
course.
stomper heroes. That's just
Yeah.
how it is.
And to go back to the topic of like I know for Act 2 you have like is anything broken? Um, what is your opinion on auto lock abilities? Because
Listen,
Paragon had a couple.
listen.
Paragon had a couple.
Let me put you this way: when I first, so back in like March and stuff, when I first started talking, well, I guess I was talking a bit before that, but like when I started like to learn the game, follow its development thoroughly, all of this stuff,
Mhm.
um, I was literally that guy that was like, if there's a lock on, it should be taken out because it's not competitive. It's too easy.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest. I was a bit wild for that statement. I'm gonna officially say now that I officially retract that statement, and I think there should be a few, but they need to be in a good reason. You know what I mean? Like, don't like Bellica's alt, for example, lock on. I think is fantastic. It's fun. Just doing that little action is just feels good, and it just works with her kit. You know what I mean? Like, then maybe that's just me, and we're playing a 3D MOBA. Lock-ons need to exist on some heroes.
Mhm.
They just need
I
to.
think, yeah, I was going to mention what Dangerous said. Auto lock depends on the ability and the amount of worth gained from it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting PTSD just talking about it from when Morgish launched, and the amount of value you got from a no skill ability was actually insane. Like, um, so yeah, I brought that up because I'm curious to see, where SMS goes in that route.
Morgesh is one of the officially announced heroes for early
Yeah,
access too. So you better
I'm very
butter
scared.
yo.
I'm very scared.
Man, that's a big kit of lock-ons. Her most skilled ability, no joke, is her AoE bomb.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, that's like, you know what though? But like, does that say Morgesh didn't take skill? But like, there was combos to Morgesh. Like, she was super easy to kill. She had to get quite
But
close to you overall. Like, she was a lower. She had like a lower range on the mage spectrum. You know what I mean? Like, she's not getting that could drop rocks from the other side of the map. You know, like,
I mean, it
would you
could
say
just be
there
that I
was
was a smart
no
player.
skill? Would you say that there was no skill to
No,
Morgesh?
I no, I think it takes skill in the terms of the player. Like you need to obviously like not the character skill, but you need to have like game knowledge, right? To understand her weaknesses. So I guess in that sense, yeah, it took skill. But in the actual character design, if you put Morgesh and like I don't know, I'm trying to think of another character, but in a vacuum, I think most times, kit to kit, obviously because of the lock-ons, it didn't take
Oh
that much
yeah, yeah.
skill to land
But what
abilities.
about like Countess? She's like full lock-ons.
Well, I mean, two of her abilities aren't, right? Her damaging,
I
I
mean,
forgot the
yeah, I
names.
guess. Okay, I guess her
Well,
E
yeah, and that goes to
and
say
her
like
R and
to what
B
Danger
aren't.
said is the value, right? Elika's lock-on ability, you know, has value, but it's not an incredible amount of value because the rest of her kit still takes a lot of skill to land consistently,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, in my opinion, with Mortgage, like that was just a ton of value for little risk. I mean, you were I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I
Interesting.
no, I think Danger's point is absolutely right, hit right on the nail. I would also add that Countess, because she's like so combo-y, like there's a lot of skill in knowing how to use her abilities in certain situations.
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
there's like multiple different combos depending on the situation, and it can change depending on where you are in health and who you're facing. And then you got a character like Kwong, who, as long as he hits his Q, his other three abilities become lock-on abilities, even though they're not lock-on abilities. But as
Mm.
long as he hits his Q, they basically are. Um, Kwong, he's always gonna be good. There's never gonna be a bad Kwong, and I'm okay with that. He's fun. He's a super fun hero. Please
Yeah.
don't change him. Please don't change him. I really do like him. Do
Remember running one-shot Kwong and Paragon in the jungle.
you remember running one shot Grux on version 42?
I never played Grux after version 42.
Holy shit. He would literally like dead. Like you were dead. Like I'm not exaggerating. Like that's how it was.
Yeah.
I need to sub to Norweginator.
Oh my god. Even I'm sub to Norweginator. Jeez.
We'll see. We shall see. We shall see. Uh yeah. Yeah. So where were we? I wanted to
I
ask
think we were just
now.
talking about broken stuff.
I wanted to ask now. Do you guys think there's anything broken in Fault? That's broken, like to the point that it makes you angry to play the game, or like if that happens, it might get you off. It might make you not play any for the rest of the day. Is there anything that you consider broken in the game? It's Cam Boris.
Yeah, we talked a lot about Boris. Yeah.
Listen, Cam, you must just tuned in because we just talked about Boris, and I'm gonna have to. I'm on the opinion that he's not broken, especially after this nerf that they gave him. He ain't broken. In fact, I think he's on the bad side. I think he's back on the bad side because of the way they nerfed him. I think all they had to do was make it his on what's it called, unblockable, on his when he has 100 stacks with his E. It just needed to be less. It just needed to not be 10 seconds. It needed to be like 7 or 5. That like I think that should have been the change to him. He did hit kind of hard, so maybe there's a bit more. Um,
I think Hero Collision's a good point. I think I've definitely run into those in
wait,
my time playing.
I love playing. I hate matchmaking, but that's because of the low player pool. Originator,
Match Matchmaking's a whole nother subject. Probably
it's
take
in.
another
I
2
got it
hour
in Act
show.
3, dude. It's we'll
Oh
tap on it.
no.
We'll tap on it. We won't
No.
go into it too much. Uh,
That's
Invisible walls, weird spots in lane upstairs, and in jungle effects, escapes and making plays. Yeah,
I'll,
there's a few invisible walls that there there's a way they can do it. I don't know how it works in Unreal Engine because obviously I'm not a dev or anything. But like there's like they can make it so you bounce off it. So like if you do run into the wall, you'll just like you know what I mean? Instead of actually hitting it.
Mhm.
Because there's one in the blue buff side that triggers the absolute mess out of me because it's an invisible wall, and as you walk back, you just stop, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's so actually half of that lane is an invisible wall, and the other half is actually where you can walk. Because they do exist. Decker has issues. The doors leaving jungle anger me.
I've never experienced that because I'm not a jungler, so sucks to be you. Just don't jungle.
They sometimes catch Greystone or Steel's moves and stop. Wait, they just stop your forward momentum. That's a glitch. I've never actually experienced that, Def God. Decker
I've never
has
experienced
issues. I'm going to
that.
be honest.
Yeah.
Decker is my most played hero in Paragon.
Is
Because,
it your least played hero in Fault?
yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
And it's not because I don't love Decker.
Hmm.
It's just she's different. She's different. Uh,
They'll never be the same.
she's also D tier. Like she's literally like bottom of pack. And when you're D tier in 16 hero meta, it's rough. It's a rough. It's rough.
It's
Um,
also because like, what value do you get out of the cage? At this point with this hero selection.
yeah, exactly.
You know,
It's just
if Gideon's not top tier and that's your only really combo potential, then
yeah.
it's
But
a rough place for.
you know what used to be the combo that we used to do back in the day? We used
Yeah.
to we used to call it. I threw down the octagon, and then got EssayRead used to run Crunch. So like Crunch is a boxer, so we used to like throw Crunch in the boxing ring,
That is
and
that
then
is the
we
worst combo I can think of
I
that you
I
could have mentioned.
I that and then we now but then we do howitzer, so like with all the punching because
Oh,
you're
okay.
engaged in the fight, and then we drop a howitzer on you, and oh my goodness, it was beautiful.
Trying to think what were my favorite combos. Oh man, it's been so long. I think definitely
Wait,
uh
Sparrow
Rock's
still
pull.
screen tearing? That's rough.
Yeah, that is rough.
That's actually really rough. Tower collision. You can land on towers with moves like Steel Ult, which null damage beneath you. Yeah, they do. That's weird. That's like one of those. That's like one of those situations. Like obviously the devs aren't gonna think about because like it's just too specific. But like it's got to get fixed because it happens.
Mhm.
Um, if you go up the stairs and do a lane in the tower, you can get stuck trying to enter the nearest jungle entrance. Fantastic. Oh, biggest broken issue that I know that you, okay. Enemy hero abilities are the same color as my teammate's ability.
What does that mean?
Like you want your abilities to literally look different when they're on your team compared to the enemy team.
Mm, I'm
Mm.
hoping that's not the case, because to me that doesn't make sense. Um, Coming from a MOBA perspective, like you need the abilities on both teams to look the same so you can recognize when you're playing against them and with them, right? Like I guess what he's getting at is, you know, if you see a Gideon ult overhead, you don't know if it's your Gideon ult or the
Mm-hmm.
enemy's Gideon ult.
Mm-hmm.
But every MOBA has that. I wouldn't even call it that much of an issue because for the most part, it's up to you to like kind of understand what's going on in the team fight. I mean, sometimes it can be confusing, but
I
um,
think the most broken thing, in my personal opinion, in Fault
mhm,
is matchmaking is number one.
mm.
That actually gets me off the game sometimes. Uh, like it gets me too raged heavy. That I need to take a break. Um,
Uh, Hold on one second. I want to go back because Def God's still talking about that point, and I just want to make it clear
okay.
what I mean. Um, so he's saying that, or he or she is saying that it's not an issue in top-down MOBA, where it's always clear who's casting ulting with HP bar. Um, I'll say Smite doesn't have nearly as much verticality, so maybe looking up and down is kind of hard, but still has the same things, and there's still some ults in that game where you're like, is that the enemy's teams? Although I'll have to think about that more because maybe they do something that's super subtle that I'm not paying attention to
Yeah.
because so that
Well,
might still be a very
and
valid
one
point.
day
I just don't
hopefully
remember.
mirror matches won't exist, so it'll be a bit easier as well.
Well, maybe it'll still exist in casual modes, right? Because
Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
I see
because
what you're saying though. I see what you're saying.
I'll have to actually like look that up more in detail because it would seem like a pretty big issue, right?
Yeah. I think matchmaking is number one,
Mm.
and put
Should we
this.
just talk about matchmaking now? Like,
Should we just do it? Like, okay, I want to say, I want, I just wish the game. I think I don't like having my frames capped at 100 FPS, and that the lighting
okay,
looks worse
yeah.
to make the FPS better. That sucks for everyone that could run it without FPS issues.
First world problems, right?
That's what it feels like, and it sucks. sucks. I'm like, I'm
But
playing on
I kind of want
PC.
to
Like
talk about
100 frames? Are
matchmaking.
you kidding me? PS5 is going to be on 120. Like, we're on PC,
Yeah.
people. Like, when do I get to like? I have $1,000 graphics card. Like, when can I use? Okay, it's not $1,000 anymore. But when can I use it? Anyway, whatever. You go ahead, Kodiris.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that matchmaking point. I know we're going to talk about it later, but I
Do it.
honestly think
Let's.
the world will solve cancer before we solve matchmaking. Um, I think matchmaking is one of those. It's not just a game design problem; it's a mathematical problem. It's you know even just talking about the concept, right? How do you get players that change every day, every minute to have good quality games? Because there's so many variables to take into account, and obviously having a low player base doesn't help.
Yeah.
So, so what can you do, right? I mean, have you heard of a game that has really good matchmaking? Because I haven't. At least
No.
MOBAs, right?
No, well, actually, in the Call of Duty in the alpha, they had skill-based matchmaking in the game, in casual, by the way, that you could not
Oh, I heard
see.
about
It's
that.
complete, and it was actually trending worldwide. That's how pissed off everyone was about the matchmaking. I tweeted about it. I didn't say anything really bad, but like there was
Yeah.
videos made. Like pro players were going nuts.
Hmm.
And then the devs said
I
that they had matchmaking since Black Ops 2, which is absolutely horseshit. There's no way there's matchmaking in Black Ops 2. Uh,
and that thing was so big. I don't even play. I've never played a single Call of Duty game in my life, and I heard about it.
like
Like,
this like just happened. Like this happened
Mhm.
over the weekend, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Like and like I think it stopped trending yesterday. Like I think it was
I
yesterday or the day before.
talking about a large studio that has put out so many games in the past that still struggles
Mhm.
with that issue.
And now they have it for a different reason. Because basically the issue with that is casuals want to be casuals, and like pro players don't always want to play the top 1% of the 1%. You know what I mean? They want to be able to pub stomp, and like with skill based matchmaking, it's just not possible, possible. And there's not a ranked mode because obviously it was an alpha. But like they're saying that like skill based matchmaking should just be kept a rank. Is like Call of Duty's argument. Is like it seems like that should be that's the majority argument.
Yeah.
Um, but it's different because getting steamrolled in COD is not the same as getting steamrolled in a MOBA. Like,
Mhm.
I've gone. I get when you get pooped on in COD, you might still play the game, or you can just exit out, go to next game, no big deal. Leave the match, right? Like
Uh,
it's not a big
yeah.
deal in COD to just leave the match. Like it's not like a issue. Like you can leave the match, someone else joins. What to do?
Yeah.
Um,
There's less investment also.
yeah,
You're investing so much in playing a MOBA match.
yeah. When
Um,
you can't just leave a MOBA game without absolutely ruining everyone on your team's experience. Like
yeah.
you just can't, right? So that's where it's more of an issue. So like if you're getting steamrolled, you are stuck in that game until the steamrolling is over.
Or
And
until
getting
everyone surrenders.
yeah, and the steamrolling sucks. Like it just and there's different kinds of steamrolls. Like you can get steamrolled and still have fun in certain aspects, I would argue. But then there's certain steamrolls that like when every time you die, you try to go into your jungle and you got no jungle camps and you die and you're never getting a buff. And like when stuff like
So
that
at that point, you're
happens,
not playing the game.
that's when that steamroll sucks. Like no one wants to play that. It doesn't matter what video game it is. Like that sucks. And if you just alt F4, well, a sucky situation just turned into an even more sucky situation. And it's just it is like a it's funny to say this, but it's like an ethical it's like you're breaking gamer ethics by quitting out of a MOBA game. Like it's like you actually are. And like it's like people hold that as a big deal. People think that that's a bad teammate and all that stuff with a MOBA. But like I can't get on the game right now on Fault and have the potential to run into a top player, a top 1% of the 1%. Like that, even top 1% or even top 20% for me, because I'm not that great, like, is probably still a steamroll. And that sucks. But like running into someone that I know because obviously they're basically like they're the equivalent of a pro player in the game, so everyone knows their names. And it's a tight knit community that if I'm running into top 1% of the 1% like that, I'm gonna be upset. Even
Yeah.
if they're on my team, I'm upset because they shouldn't be on my team. Like it just shouldn't happen.
I think a lot of that will hopefully fix itself when there's a larger player base.
Yeah, I was thinking about it though. I was thinking about it a lot the past 3 days, like 72 hours. And I was thinking like you're damned if you do, you're damned with your don't with this issue. And as you said earlier, like the world health issues will get fixed before this gets fixed. Uh, check those DMs. I'll check them. I'll check them. Check them. Do I have to switch screens? Like, because they're gonna see my DMs. I'm gonna switch screens anyways. You guys won't see us for 5 seconds.
I'll pick up the topic then while you do that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I think matchmaking is one of those things where it's like I think Fault's matchmaking issue is obviously very different than some other MOBAs that we are used to playing. I think this just goes back to like, well, how does Fault increase their player base? How do they make the right steps so that when they do increase their player base, it doesn't. Oh my God, he's here. Um, so yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like,
No, you're
eventually,
so disappointed by that.
okay, come in here and ruin my sentence. Thank you, I appreciate it.
What were we saying? What were we saying? Sorry, you were right in the zone there.
um, no, it's just like I have high hopes for the things that people are complaining about matchmaking today. I think I have high hopes that those things will not be complained about in like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately, those 4 or 5 months is really going to be kind of painful to play through, and that's just the facts.
You
You
see,
know,
let me just see people's point of view right quick.
yeah.
We're talking about COD. Yeah, yeah, I know COD is very different. It's a different game, but there's always some things you can relate to. Um, um, this is my issue right now that I'm thinking of. Matchmaking, knowing that I think this is it. I think this is it, and I've said it before. I think there's a few integral issues. I think matchmaking at the point where the game is with its player base is, how do I word this? It's uh I think no matter what, it's always gonna have issues because I just think that's how it is. No matter if they have the best matchmaking to ever be created in any game ever, I think there's still gonna be a lot of issues of people running into those uh people that like are obviously 40 times better than them legitimately, and it's just not going to be fun for 40 minutes or 30 minutes or 20 minutes, or and then when people aren't having fun they become toxic and then people leave and then yada yada whatever. People don't like losing and don't like getting pooped on, simple as that. um, if they don't fix matchmaking, players are going to slowly, as they currently are, they're going to keep leaving. We're going to slowly lose more and more people, so player base is only going to get smaller.
Thing
And
is, I don't think they have anything to fix though. They have a good algorithm.
that's what I'm
They just
saying.
don't have the players to support it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, and some could argue, well, what you just said, since they're using an algorithm that doesn't target their player base, whatever. I think, and then we're running into the issue where, okay, we can tighten the matchmaking, but now you're going to have a 5 minute queue. And if you're in the top 40% of players, you're going to have a 7 minute queue. And if you're anything above that, you're going to have a 10 minute plus queue. You know what I mean?
I think the way to look at it is just what are the trade-offs people are willing to make right now to play.
Yeah.
Are you willing to trade off, larger or longer matchmaking queues, or are you willing to sit through a 30-minute, 40-minute stomp?
Yeah. I agree to your point, but you want to know what's happening? something completely off the radar. People are just going into a different server that doesn't have matchmaking, so that they get a
Yeah.
game in 30 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And then the steamrolling's happening again, because it's all random, right? So steamrolling is going to happen no matter what. Like that, like better players are just better. Like you're going to lose to better players. Like it's going to happen. So you're going to have games that get steamrolled. Like that's just how it is. Doesn't matter what game you play. It's just It's just trying to limit those, or saying, or making the decision that it's gonna happen, realizing that you have done everything you can that to limit it, but it is still an issue. So you gotta try something else. And I think with the way it is in NA East, because it's now all public information, unfortunately, I would say, uh, people don't want to wait 5 minutes for a game, and people don't want to get
public
steamrolled.
information I miss?
That matchmaking's only in a certain server now.
Oh, when did this come out?
I don't know. I've just been seeing it around. People have been talking about it, so
Is it confirmed?
pretty confirmed considering you got pretty big names talking about it on
Jeez,
stream.
hello.
So, anywho, but that's another issue. But that's whatever, right?
Yeah. Well, to me, it's just like, what else can they do about it? Like right now, there's a little less than 400 people playing the game. I think it's like 320 currently at the moment. If you wanted fair matchmaking, I think it's more than a 5 minute queue. You're looking at like a 25 minute queue at that point.
Yeah.
You know, at which point no
But
one's
then
gonna play.
or they can just go to EU and chalk it up to the gods on who they're gonna get. And like
Yeah.
people do that, and people are doing that. And
Yeah, I didn't know about that. But it's sort of like, so they have algorithms that they're testing out. So it's not that they don't have matchmaking, unless you're in Europe, apparently. Um, but the biggest issue is just that, it's just the player base, and there's nothing they can do about it. I'm pretty sure they probably saw this coming, because it's early access, and that's how early access be. You just you got to keep working on the game, and make a game that people are going to come back to. That's how you solve matchmaking. That's honestly it.
yeah.
Full release is the answer.
Full
He was saying that. He was saying that off stream before we started.
Yeah.
He
No,
was
just
talking
bring
about
in
it.
Richter, Rampage, and Howitzer. Bam, good. Everyone's gonna play again. That's all. I'm
Or
gonna
just
say.
change the mods, you know?
I agree. Get rid of the
You know,
mods. Their
maybe
reign is
we,
over.
dude,
Real
do we
bad.
even need mods? I
Do we
don't think
even
we
need mods? Have you guys ever actually seen a mod do anything helpful? I don't think so. Let's get rid of them.
You don't see mods ban people, right? I don't see any. I've never seen it.
If you haven't seen it, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's like the government and birds.
Birds aren't real. It's
And
honestly,
birds aren't real.
we already know at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sort of like we're talking about things, because I do the same, by the way. I'm not trying to pin this on anyone, but like, we're talking about things that honestly just don't have a short-term solution, right? It's like
They don't.
we really want there to be. We really want there to be, like, so maybe there's something that we're missing, right? Maybe there's something to talk about. But honestly, they just have to fix the game, and they got to get it in a tip-top shape to be a game that more than 1,000 people are going to be playing.
You know what I think?
Have a good matchmaking system.
You know what I think? I
Usually.
don't think there's a solution to fixing matchmaking. I agree, but I think there's a better way to go about it, and I got the answer.
Ooh, I want to know.
I
That sounds
people are
enticing.
gonna disagree with me, but
I would never.
I think it's casual. Like, I'm gonna go back to it. This game, Fault, is meant to be casual in the early access stage, and its current stage. I'm telling you, just please, for the love of everything, just get rid of the leaderboard. Like, just do it. Like, no one wants to know. Like, we should. Okay, actually, you don't get rid of the leaderboard. Get rid of us seeing our MMR or FR. Period. We should not know what it is. 'Cause that
I agree, but I also, it's a gamble. And the reason, so I agree, so I want to reiterate that. I agree, but the majority of people that are playing on a daily basis are those try hard, like, sweating your ass off, I need to get that fault rank up people, right? So it's like,
yeah, but you can still
you
get it
risk-
up. You just don't know your number.
But do you risk
But
losing
then you
their
don't know what that
interest?
is.
Yeah, like do you risk losing their interest when honestly they're invaluable as testers and a benchmark for how you balance the game, right? Because they find stuff we don't think about. They see balancing issues in ways that we might not think of. Well, maybe I'm speaking for just mean stranger. I don't know how good you are, Kodiris. I forgot. I
Oh, I'm
think I
trash.
okay, so you're better than
Yeah.
us. Um, but the thing is like they are invaluable, right? So do you risk losing their interest? I'm pretty sure that is 99% of the reason why it's even like being debated at all to like to keep it there. It's just to keep their interest because if they're gone and you just have a bunch of noobs running around, it's gonna be hard to balance your game for these
That's when the
pro
game actually
players.
dies, in my opinion, is when you lose the competitive people.
Uh,
Um,
and so it's rough. It's a weird situation to be in. It's
yeah.
because you're alienating one or the other because we can't have ranked and casual at the moment. So you can't have to choose one or the other.
Dangerous brings up a good question that I was wondering myself is what if they give something for casuals to farm for? I don't know. Like there could be something.
Like lose 10 times in a row, get a free hero. I like that.
I mean, technically there is stuff to farm for. Like you do get matter and stuff by playing the game, which gets you skins, which gets you heroes.
I mean,
Yeah, but
part of the problem too is that like these top players, which once again I think are invaluable to have in the game, I really do. We need them. And part of the problem is that they get bored up in there and their queues take too long and they're not having a fun time, so they go and make a Smurf account. Now all of a sudden they're messing up everybody else's time because they're like gods to us plebs, right? So we're playing against them just having a terrible time. And all of a sudden they're wedged in there between the masters and the silver players, and so the normal people like they're not having a good time, and it's just like this. It's the same cycle we saw in Paragon, but just on a much smaller scale. So you feel it a lot more personally, I guess.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like there's a solution except
But the difference in
wait
making
it
it
like
out.
slow.
Just gotta wait
Paragon
it out.
is
Yeah,
it's like once in a blue moon you run into a 0.001% player.
that's what I'm saying. It's because it's on a smaller scale now, so it
But
hits you
it's not
harder.
like that in this. Like it's very consistent.
Yep. Because back in Paragon, it'd be out of a few thousand people that would encounter
And
that.
like
Now it's like
Smurfs
now
is
it's like
just
a few
Smurfs. I don't know if
dozen.
there's an issue. I don't know if there's a resolution to Smurfs. I think it's just how it is. Um,
No, so that's gonna happen. But the difference is if you have thousands of people playing the game, that's gonna impact so few matches compared to now, where
yeah,
it's like a few hundred of
yeah.
us.
But what it seems like now is like if you're not a bronze player or like at 1200 elo,
Mm.
uh, you're not at starting elo or lower. Like you're probably running into them, and they're double your elo, by the way. But you're at 1500, which is gold. Um, and like I don't know how the player pool splits in the skill based matchmaking. Hopefully, it's not like Paragon where 50% of players are in silver, and then 20% are in gold, and then it gets up because like that's rough when 20% is gold and up only, and there's still silver and bronze below. Oh, that's a rough time because that just makes it that's just an issue that the player base need to learn and then split and then I think you have to change your numbers when that happens. I think somehow gold should become silver, and then and then if that makes sense, I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense there. Um, but like I can't like one running into one game out of 10 is not it's not a big deal. Like like even if I don't know them, I'm gonna get it pooped on, or like even 2 games out of 10. I'm not saying I have to win all 10 games. I'm saying like I can lose them, but like I can't be not playing the game losing. Like as we were discussing earlier, Kadir, it's like that
Yeah.
can't happen, or I'm not like, and if I and from the way it looks, is maybe I have a better chance at having a good quality game with no matchmaking than matchmaking at the moment because of the player base. Because now there's a chance I might get that bronze on my team, so now I get to carry. But there's also a chance I get that master on my team. You know what I mean? But right now, it's I get a gold or I get a master or a diamond.
I think
Like that. That's
if
what's
you're
happening.
I think if you're SMS, your mentality. I have no idea if this is their mentality, but should probably be let's fix the game as fast as we can, get to a good quality place before full release, and just wait it out, and just put everything you have into making sure the core gameplay is good. And I don't know, maybe they can do small little changes like remove matchmaking and test it out here and there, but like Norweginator said, there's no long-term solution. I'm sorry, there's
Yeah.
no short-term solution, there's a long-term solution. So
I think also. Well, no, never mind. I'll get around back to it.
Yeah, and like Smurf, I think people are just gonna make Smurfs anyways, and like that's just like that's
Yeah,
just a rough. That's like every game. It's just hard to get around.
yeah.
Like it's gonna happen. It's whatever. Hopefully, you don't know they're on Smurfs, and
But you don't feel that if that only happens once every 30, 40 games, but you do feel it when it's 1 out of 4 games, you know?
oh, that's it's rough. Then it's rough. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I guess this is what I was going to say. Another part of it is when I compare my skill level to the people that I'm going up against in Masters and all that, which, by the way, you can all go to hell for being better than me. When I'm going up against them, I'm like, I don't belong up in high gold. I belong in like low silver. Like, can I please go back down to silver so I can have fun again? And yeah, then the issue's like, okay, well, sometimes I have a master on my team, so we win. So I go higher up, and
Yeah.
I'm playing the game more than the general player base, that are waiting for the game to
I'm
get
just
better.
looking at it like if queue times are gonna be an issue, but in one region, but not in another. Um, wouldn't it just like isn't the way to solve that is to either make everyone have queue time like the same kind of queue times, or for no one to for like everyone to have the same queue times, whether that be every region has SBBM, SBMM, or or no regions do. You know what I mean?
Hmm,
Because like, wouldn't that just improve the situation? It's not gonna fix it, but wouldn't it improve it?
I get you. Well, now since you're talking about just taking MMR away,
No, like you could still have it. Like you still have the number there, if so people know where they lie. But
yeah,
just like make it more randomized. I don't know if that's. I don't know how that works. Like
I'm not sure.
like um, or just put it everywhere, or just like all the whole game has it, not 1/5 of the game.
yeah.
Which well, it's more like one half to because there's so many people in that server. Um, you know what I mean?
So it's like it's a hard discussion because like I wish we could come up with a solution here and then we get paid like $50 million for solving like the biggest problem. But um, I think the best we can come up with as like outsiders is just try something different, right? We know something doesn't work right now, so like you said, maybe a nice thing to do is just to remove it for everyone or something. Um, that's like the best thing that we can say.
Or just like do what they were doing and make it super loose, and
Yeah,
that there's a possibility like it's there, but like it's not really there. You know what I mean? Like it's there, but yeah, it's just there, and you got to let people know that like yeah, you might like it's random because it's
yeah.
casual.
Like somebody says here, so they're in silver, and they found a match in 4 minutes, but they were matched up with diamonds. So they were able to find a match at 130, which is great. But they're silver going against diamonds. Like what kind of quality of gameplay do you have there?
Well, that's like that's the kind of game where like you're not gonna play the game because you're getting pooped
Yeah,
on so
it just
badly.
sucks.
You're just
Like,
And yeah.
and speaking of matchmaking, I have been trying to find a match now for a little over 17 minutes.
What are you willing to balance out, Norweginator? Are you willing to take the longer queue times, or you want to get stomped for 40 minutes?
I think I'm
yeah,
willing to
but
take.
like what?
Well,
But there's no
because actually
guarantee you're
the
gonna
way
get
he says
stomped.
it right there, the way he says it right there really actually puts it in perspective. Would you rather have longer queue times or get stomped, and here's the keywords, for 40 minutes? The thing is that once you're in that match, you're in there for a while.
Yeah, because
So
it's
I actually
Yeah.
think I would take longer queue times personally. I would
But I think,
rather
yeah,
have to wait 15 to 20 minutes like regularly.
or would you rather have the chance that you might run into them? Or you might run
because
into people lower.
Stranger's right. Like even if you wait this 20 minutes, you might still get a match where like someone on the other team is a Masters.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then
So
it's a numbers thing, right? You're like
yeah,
you're trying to at least get away from that as much as possible, so maybe more of your matches are better balanced overall, comparative to how it is now.
Mm.
And
Maybe
I think I would take that.
maybe the solution is if you're gonna have skill-based matchmaking, you have to have it in the game. Can't half have it, half not have it. But if you're not gonna have it, you're not gonna have it, because obviously it's casual after a certain time. Sorry, I just got to charge my phone so I can read the chat. After a certain moment in queue, it obviously loosens because that's how all skill-based matchmaking works.
Yeah.
And what if it's like you like I don't know, like I lost my train of thought. I think it needs to be all there or not there. Like it needs to be one or the other. And if it is there, it needs to be known that like it's there to have higher quality games, but like it's still like it's small. It's not some big, it's not ranked. Like you're not like there's still gonna be the chance to run into whoever.
right.
Is it common? Like I don't play a lot of League of Legends, but like is it common that like you do get steamrolled in those games too? Like you can just roll up in a game and like that's it. You're just hello.
I don't know about League. I know about Smite.
Well,
That's
like in
it.
Smite, is it possible that like you can jump in a
Uh,
casual game and just get pooped on
yeah,
like
casual for
consistently?
sure. Not consistent. It's not like every like 3 games in a row you're gonna get shit on. In fact, most likely that one game you're gonna get pooped on, the next game you're gonna stomp the other team.
Yeah.
That's
Actually,
more
well,
likely
that's
to
because
happen.
skill-based matchmaking is designed to make a player play
Yeah.
longer. So it's designed so that you lose one game, win another, so that people play longer. That's just a proven. Anywho, you just do that. All came from this huge trend of skill-based matchmaking over the weekend. All AAA companies do that. Skill-based matchmaking is designed more so than anything to make the player keep playing the game and not get off. And that's why they
Yeah.
make it so. That's why you rarely see in games, in ranked, or with a game of skill based matchmaking, it's usually you don't win 4 and lose none. It's usually you win some, you lose some. Because it's designed with that in mind. It's designed with like the psychology in mind of literally like what can I do to make you play the game more.
Right.
Which is
All right.
another portion of skill based matchmaking, which has nothing to do with actual pairing up. That's like a whole other can of worms that only came to light over the weekend for the whole gaming industry.
All right. I think we beat matchmaking around for quite a while.
Yeah, you're right.
I think it's probably time to move on.
All right. Balance.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 20 minutes, I found a match. So
Nice.
this better be balanced as hell.
Balancing. Balancing. Would you argue that Fall is balanced? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Why not?
No.
Tanks have been a problem since the beginning, in my opinion. They still haven't figured out tanks.
You think they're still too crazy?
They're different now. Now it's like I feel like they're the right amount of tanky for mages, but not for ADCs. ADCs don't do enough damage, and also, why the hell can tanks do so much damage?
I don't know. And they've nerfed a lot of tank.
And that just goes to show how bad that problem's been.
They've cut it to the bones almost, and it's still is that true? Like, is Norweginator unique in his thought process? Is it just that he sucks dealing with tanks, or like is this a
Maybe.
common issue, or is this like would Chad agree? Would Chad agree?
I see someone went 36 and 20 as Steel Jungle, but did you build full damage? Is the question. Because if you build full damage, then it kind of makes sense. Okay, he didn't. Never mind.
But that's, oh my gosh, could you imagine?
unless you
Oh.
stole all the kills from your teammates and you have some very mad
Nah,
teammates.
there's no, listen, 30, it don't matter what kind of game it is. Yeah, see, like, but something like that, you know, I built only P-Blade. Oh my. You know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what do you say? Like, so do you think that's the key balancing issue? Just is it that tanks are too good, or is it that carries aren't good enough?
I always felt like ADCs were not. I'm an ADC main myself, and I felt like they were never at a point where I felt good playing an ADC. I was always like, I could be playing something else and just having a more impact in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not, again, like, I'm not a game designer. I don't have the answer to that. Whether they
Ooh,
need to.
you had a bit of screen tearing there for a second, Originator.
Yeah.
I do?
As Narbash,
Yeah,
for like 2
Narbash.
seconds.
Oh, let me guess. The Sparrow ulted. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's rough.
And like Dangerous said, he thinks ADC is fine, so it's probably opinion based, but everyone has their own opinion as to what needs balancing in the game. In my opinion, I just think ADC's never had a good impact.
Yeah.
Yep.
But like that's where the experts come in, right? Like that's where we get to our experts. What do the experts think? You know what I mean? Like what is their consensus? Like and
Pretty
that's
much what we're saying now. For the
that's
most
what
part.
that's what I think, right? Like
Yeah.
carries, you know what though? Like I am of the opinion that like unless you're playing like Murdoch, who's just not good late
Murdoch.
game, like he should like most carries are supposed to be they're supposed to only stay alive because the support is beside them early game. Late and like
supposed to suck early
and
mid.
it's supposed to be 2 or 3 items into the game before you come online. Like and then some carries continue to scale to like apps to like literally the best hero in the game if you get far enough, and then some just fall off or some just stay and they never get better. They just hit their max or whatever. And or some do this, which I don't think we really have an ADC that does this scaling wise in the game.
By the way, Stranger, if you guys want to watch live gameplay, you can go to my channel. If you want to have that in the background.
Oh my god, the plug.
No, no plug. No one knows the name of my channel. This is just so you guys don't have to watch a VOD.
Yeah.
That way you guys can watch me in real time and make fun of me.
Yeah.
Oh! I thought it was fun. I thought I was adding something. I'm sorry. Never mind. You're not invited.
That was a plug.
That was not a plug.
Just jungling is strong. Thank you for the tier 1. Mr. Bite,
Hey,
Mr. Spider,
Spiders in the chat.
Mr. Super Fantastic. And I play fine as Murdoch. Maybe it is lack of characters.
Oh, that's definitely a big part of it. I mean, it's content in general, right? It's items to like for build diversity. It's characters for matchup diversity. More jungle buffs. There's a lot of things lacking. Well, not I guess not lacking, but things to come.
Yeah.
Right. That makes it hard to appreciate what this game really should be.
You really think yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing I want you to understand. Like if ADCs are weak, then it's not an item problem. Unless like P-Blade's the problem, then please just change his passive. But like or is it that tanks are doing too much damage, right? Like I don't know what let's go with the one way. Let's say carries just aren't strong enough. Well, that means they need higher base stats or they need higher scaling depending on their items. Just simple as that, right? Depending on how you want the scaling to be. If that's not the issue, if it's like P-Blade, you just gotta either remove it or change its passive. Or if it's that, but what if its tanks are just doing too much damage?
Yeah,
how do you fix that? That's hard to fix. You can
just
build
honestly,
items.
adjust the numbers on like
base.
these heroes. Yeah, like the base numbers, the scaling, everything.
Well, most tanks don't scale whatsoever. With
I mean, then their base numbers are too high.
yeah, when it comes to damage, attack damage. And Pleb came in with a thing. I'm gonna check.
Like,
Need
that's
an
all there
early
is.
than mid game. So basically, their scaling needs to be slightly different.
Jamson says they aren't doing too much damage. All right, so what is the problem then? Because everyone's saying they're doing too much damage. So
I say 3% of current health for P-Blade. 4 is 5% over 3 seconds. So why does P-Blade get 6%? I have no idea. 14.
I'm not a numbers guy. I don't look
And
at
it's
it.
one of those things like if they nerf P-Blade, it might just not become an item worth having in the game because like no one might use it too, right? So I think it really comes. If someone builds 200 armor entry, you should not be able to. You should not be taking damage from that user, which is obviously makes sense.
but that's not the case though.
Well, like a carry should lose to a tank at full health. Yes. Like, am I just making that up? Like that's how it should be, right?
Okay, so
loses to a
I
tank.
guess that's the best way to put it. If Norbash, okay, so if I'm the carry, and I get hit by Narbash Thunk, or I get hit by Decker's Bomb, it's doing like what 10% of my health, which is a pretty noticeable chunk. It's doing about 10% of my health. Now, as a carry, if I hit a tank, I'm doing like what, like 1% of their health, like in the beginning, early mid game.
Okay, so they're just not hitting hard enough at the beginning.
Wait, at what stage do you think a tank should kill a carry 1v1 full health, full abilities?
I mean, a carry
Late game?
probably
Are you saying late game?
always.
Okay, because
I'm
I don't think that's how it works. Because I'm taking experience from Smite. You always level 20, both tanks, carries, abilities. In late game, the carry always needs to win. But it's about the time to kill of the tank that determines the effectiveness of the tank.
yeah.
Mhm.
So you should never lose a 1v1 to a tank level 20 and in Smite. Here we have 18 levels, but full abilities.
full
Yeah,
items.
dude.
then-
As I
the
dare you
purpose-
to go against Severog. I
Yeah.
dare you to 1v1 him.
Yeah, but
stuff.
Severog's a
You're-
hyper tank, so he's a bit different. Like
Mhm.
to a certain extent.
Yeah, bruisers are different, but if you take into account what the role of carry is in a MOBA, what is its job? Its job is to do consistent damage against structures and tanks, because
Yeah.
mages are burst.
Yeah.
So if you're not killing tanks level 20 in a 1v1, then you don't do your job in a MOBA. So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ooh.
so
Maybe it
you
is
know,
that the carries just not they're not gaining enough. What I'm thinking is so I actually agree with you, Kadiris, 100%. I think that's a fantastic way of looking at it. Maybe it's just that early game tanks are just eating a few too many shots, like maybe one basic too much. So maybe they need to reduce it that way.
I think a few more.
Yeah.
Jamson just flat out disagrees, but it seems to be a pretty common consensus that tanks are just well, either tanks are too tanky or tanks do too much damage for how tanky they are.
Or it could be
If they're building all armor mitigation,
well then obviously you shouldn't take a lot of damage though.
if you're building all armor mitigation, you take less damage, but you're supposed to do less, or yeah, you're supposed to do less damage and take less damage.
yeah.
Yeah. So also
So-
do less damage. That's very key. And then but then the mage is supposed to be able to roll up and literally like say, hello, here's 2 abilities, 3 abilities, you're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is that. There is that too. Both
You were
several
saying ADC should never lose a 1v1 to a tank, allowing them to position poorly or run up a lane for free because of tank rotating. No, but see, Pleb, that's the role of the jungler. The jungler is supposed to kill the ADC, not the tank.
Yeah.
Your role as a tank, like I said, is time to kill, stalling, and making space for your team.
Yeah, right now the tank's job is definitely to go cling on to the carry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying in most MOBAs, maybe that's not how they want it to be in Fault, but
Mm-hmm.
in my experience for the MOBAs that I've played, like Your job as a tank isn't to kill the carry. That's the jungler.
I'm just curious. Like, is this really an issue, or like we're agreeing it is? We're agreeing there's something there. We're agreeing that's like the major balance change needed, and maybe it's that people don't know how to play against full armor, or the mage doesn't know how to play against full armor, or maybe it's that even at full armor, the ADC should still be able to do quite a bit of damage because they're the ADC. That means ADC is going to absolutely delete everyone that's not a tank, and then, or maybe it's just that simply put, mid game ADCs need to just do a little bit more base damage, however that may be. Once they hit level whatever, once they hit 1.5 items, level 10, they should be doing 200 damage to you per hit before armor mitigation. You know what I mean? Instead of 100. You know what I mean?
Dangerous says lack of builds.
Lack of builds?
Yeah, that's definitely a current issue. Just
I
like
think
that diversity.
Dude, it's almost like, wait, there's something that's like coming up, right?
What's
It's
gonna
like
happen?
you know what?
It's almost like
It's like
the community was like thinking about this, and we're like, what do we need?
it's like
a hub.
Oh, it's like, you know what? It's like FHN is like trying to make it easier for you all at finding builds. It's
Yeah. Norweginator, what would you do if you wanted to look up a build for a game? Where would you go?
Man, right now I think I would go to Fault Network, and I would go to the hero builder where you can equip items and you can see how it changes your stats in real time.
Oh, okay. If he means lack of items, well,
There's one small lack of items. But I think it can also be lack of knowledge, in my opinion. But
it's
lack of
both.
items.
I mean, it can be both.
Yeah. To a certain extent.
Jamson.
What did he say?
I have no idea.
Why can you go and wait? What?
What did he say?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
What?
He's saying that he can go into chat and not see it. Wait, you can't see what everyone else is saying, Jamson?
Jamson's in my chats. He's not in Fault Network chats.
Oh, yes, he is.
Oh, is he?
He just got
he
here.
is. Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah, he's been like typing out a book over my chat, which I'm not looking at. I'm just looking at your chat.
That's okay. It's been showing on stream what he's been saying.
Okay, good.
All right. You know what? I think we're kind of falling off of steam with the balance. It seems to be an issue. Whether it is or not is yet to be determined. There's something, and it could be tanks doing too much damage, ADCs not doing enough damage at certain points in the game. It could be not enough individuality in the heroes, meaning that every hero just needs to build the same thing to do the same thing because they're all just too similar. It could also be that there's not enough items to let them do the different thing, or it could be all of it together. It seems from what we see, a tank is just a bit too strong mid-game against a carry, but not too strong against a mage, not too strong against everyone else. And that probably has to do with the armor mitigation. So
that's where we go. Ask the experts.
That's where the experts come in. They're there to figure it out. Maybe it's just that like 50 armor mitigation is just too much mid game. Like physical armor.
I think so. Jansen strongly disagrees with us. But
Jamson's the expert though. He's the one that he is the.
Yeah, so I want to refer to his knowledge.
He is the item designer and main balance designer.
I want to refer to his expertise, and I trust him. But then there's something else that just feels off. And I'm pretty sure that's pretty like I said, that's a pretty common one. Feeling like tanks have just been too much for too long.
Yeah, so what Pleb said there, like core building, counter building, or what Jamson is saying, which is essentially the same thing. Like that's also knowledge-based issues, right? Like, and that's
I think
things
it goes
as
further
a
than that,
community.
though.
Well, I'm just reading what he's put in our chat.
Well, that also comes back
that's
to like. I just cut you off, Kodiris. I'm so sorry.
no, go ahead.
That comes back to like in Paragon, it was known that 50% of the player base was in silver. So like if Fault really is mostly the Paragon player base, which it is because it's early access, you would argue that 50% of the player base is in silver as well. And then it's not a far leap to say that 50% of the player base does know how to properly counter build. And that's like just because they're in silver. You know what I mean? And like
But that's also up to the community then to then inform themselves,
yes, it
right?
is.
And
Yes.
now that comes to like what kind of tools can we provide as a community group, and also what can the competitive scene do? Like there's a whole bunch of variables that come into play with increasing the knowledge of the player base,
Yeah.
right?
But is there
There's
way?
obviously things like yeah.
Yeah, because like if Jamson, I believe Jamson. Like if Jamson's saying there's not an issue, like you know what I mean. Like he's the one thinking about this 24/7. He's the one testing it, coming up with these concepts, all this stuff, right? Like if he's saying there's not an issue, or if there is, it's not as big of an issue as we're making it out to be, then it has to come from the community side. You know what I mean? Like that's a hard pill to swallow. Like how do you like no one want? It's just hard to say. You know what I mean? Like it's or like when you're a customer, when do you ever tell yourself that you're wrong, or do you always say that they're wrong? You know what I mean? Like
Oh, yeah, of course it needs to be balanced there.
yeah.
Can I
So
also just point out Jamson's actually bullying me in chat right now? Are
that's
we
okay.
mods? Do we not have mods?
No, he can.
Not a mod.
You're a mod. Um. So if that is the issue, then you know what it comes down to. Then, like, let's say I think there is a bit of an issue, but from the way Jamson's talking about it, seems like it's not as big of an issue as we're making it out to be. Which is probably true. Like he's the expert, of course.
Or maybe we're looking at the wrong area. Maybe there's a different area we need to be looking at.
Exactly. Then it doesn't it just come down to what can SMS do to get people to understand, you know what I mean, and not like understand like by talking about it in Discord, like we're talking about like understand by playing the game, like you know what I mean. So is that where like is there ever a tutorial that tells you to counter build, you know what I mean, like and then it also could be because you know it's a lot of
fine line. That's a very fine line.
It's a
like
very fine line. That's what I'm saying.
What people
Like
enjoy about MOBAs is like the competitive nature and having to learn and put effort into it, right?
yeah,
So the game is not going to tell you like do this and do that, but you know, again, like I said, I think once the community starts implementing some better tools and also just being better at teaching each other, I think you'll see an improvement, which again is not very optimistic to hear because I think a lot of people want to hear what's the solution fix right now, but obviously we don't have the answer to that. So I think there will be long-term fixes, and I think, yeah, I don't know. It's a hard pill to swallow, like you said.
Well, I'm just reading chat. Sorry, it's just like I just fall so far behind.
Oh, Death Timer. I actually haven't heard too much about that.
Their abilities need to be buffed.
Bot games. I know it's going to be tough to implement bot games right now, but that's also another strategy that increases.
That was huge.
Yeah, and
having ability of practice, right,
listen,
without affecting other people's games.
You know what? We kind of gone off the rail a little bit. I think we're kind of focused, but like it feels like we're kind of running out of steam. So I just wanted to do two last things. I wanted to do a question and answer from the community, and I also want Kodiris to tell me what's written on his whiteboard.
You okay? Yeah, we'll do the Q&A first.
Okay, the Q&A first. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting to the later half, the second half of the third act of the Faultarian Journal this week. We want to know if what questions you have for either us, for anyone else in the chat, something we can bring up on stream to let you know, or any topics that we already touched on that you want to discuss a bit more.
Yeah. Any questions also by FHN?
What could Kalari be used for? Dying.
Yeah.
Okay. That's not
Old. It's just a slightly larger jungle camp.
Yeah, I mean, what is Loki used for? It's the same thing. Giga Hyper Ganks. Oh yeah, the favor system. It's a good system. I mean, I can see why it can have a few issues, but I personally like the system.
I like it too.
Yeah, like I actually really like it. I know there's no limit, but that also means that Raptors and Orb Prime are always gonna be, well, Orb Prime's always gonna be, but Raptor, aka Kaizen, is always going to be an objective, even late game. I don't know if the favor system, like, I understand the issues with it, but don't get me wrong. But I think there's a few positives to it as well. I don't know. I'm pretty like 50-50 on that. I don't know if the negatives outweigh the positives in this manner.
I want to answer Destroyer's question because it's
Okay.
a very good question that a lot of people have. Is this game developed to a point where I should get it or I should just wait for the launch? Okay, so in my opinion, this is coming from someone who bought it. It depends on what you want out of your game. Do you want to support the game and go through like it's a relationship, like all the highs and lows, and because you care about the end
Some
game,
people do.
you care about like no, really that's what it's gonna be. It's like, you know, you got to stick with it. If you want to, you know, support it that way, if that's your mentality going in, then I think yes, you should get it. If your mentality going in is I want a game that I can have fun every day playing and it's gonna be my new main game, you know, then probably wait. That's probably the best advice I could give you.
Yeah.
Oh, plug that. I agree.
If you're unsure, you should wait. If you know what you're getting into and you're excited about it, nonetheless, go for it. It's a blast. That the highs are high, but the lows can be low. But that's part of early access. It's a roller coaster.
Yeah. On the point of Kalari, I know I kind of made like a meme about it. This is all we know about Kalari. She was in the trailer. That's it.
Yeah, that's.
They have not confirmed she's going to be in the game for early access. Holy shit, I just forgot to tell you the theory.
Uh-oh. A theory from Stranger.
Oh, a theory of what one of the next heroes are. Like an actual theory.
Alright. I'm down.
Oh, I've told you it already, Norweginator. But that's okay.
It's the thing one?
It's I'll tell you. Listen, if this is my personal opinion, doesn't mean it's true or untrue. She was in the trailer. I'm expecting her in early access, unless they just memed on us and put her in the trailer simply to make the trailer more hype. But they could have used any hero they wanted.
Yeah,
so why'd they choose Kaliri? You know what I mean?
Kalari.
Exactly.
Calamari.
You know what I mean?
Calamari.
Okay.
Oh, wait,
okay.
Real quick. So Foreign Knight or Teat? I don't know. They said, when do you think they will have a roadmap? So if you go to their Discord right now, there's a lot of information you can gather, including their Trello page, which has a general outline of things that they want to accomplish during early access. Sorry, go ahead, stranger.
No, I'm still looking. You keep going.
Okay. I was just answering their question. You go with your theory.
Okay. Ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? I have a theory of who this hero is. They have announced that there's going to be a 7th hero in EA.
Oh, so
and they yes it is. We got a shout out to the Basel. Is it the Basel?
Basel and Russ worked on this.
Shout out to the Basel and Russ because they came up with this theory, and one of them just happens to be his job is graphic designer or something like that. So he's very aware of all this stuff. This hero. So if this picture is an actual picture of the hero, of the 7th hero, we can argue that this has been photoshopped because obviously it's black and red. You know what I mean? But that means that this stuff could also be... You see how he has a little bump right here? Or she has a little bump right here, but no bump here? You see what I'm talking about? And this is like a shoulder, obviously. What I'm saying is this right here looks like it was photoshopped out, this bump. And there's one distinct feature on a certain hero that is in this picture. There's 3 bumps on the forehead. What hero
And no
has
other
3 bumps? No other
Only
hero
one.
has 3 bumps on the forehead.
Only one character looks
And
like that.
only one hero has the 3 bumps. And if we can argue that this is
I have no
photoshopped,
idea.
and like this, Richter has the 3 bumps on his forehead.
It can only be Richter. I think so. Basically, Basil's theory is that they photoshopped.
They photoshopped his like shoulder
so that it wasn't obvious that it was Richter.
so that it's not right here, but they left the 3 bumps, but they left this shoulder in.
James is like, how's that gadget? It could be from a side angle, but I'm believing the Richter theory now. I'm a true believer.
I mean, but like if that's Gadget, that's like think about it, like that, like Gadget's ass holds the bomb. So like, are you telling me like her tail is like right here? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying, right? Like, is it Gadget?
I think it's Ular.
Yeah. Wait, who'd you say it was?
I think it's Ular.
That'd be fun. That'd be cool.
You're right.
That was Ular. That's the theory. That's the
Yeah.
theory.
I think it holds up.
That theory. Shout out to Russ, one of the partners of Strain Rider Studios, and the Basel, one of his close friends, who I think also streams. He's awesome as well.
Yeah. Super cool
They came up with this theory. They passed it along to us, and I had to say it. I think I'm gonna go with them because I trust them. I think this is Richter.
They're onto something, personally. I mean,
They're onto
not
something.
just because I want Richter, because I do really bad. But I think they're onto something.
But there is also the opinion that they just chose whatever hero they wanted and photoshopped it, so it could be whoever. But if it is the hero, the actual 7th hero that they have announced, or not the hero, but like, you know what I mean. I argue it's Richter.
I mean, I personally agree.
But look at Richter. I'm pulling up a picture of Richter.
Oh my god.
Who's arguing against it?
Listen, look at these 3 bumps. Look. There's 3 bumps on his head. Oh, can you get a big close-up? Okay, well, this is a waste. Is there like a non-side view one? You see how he has these little bumps? Ah, that's terrible. There's no good pictures of just his head. Well, now I feel like I'm
good
getting
picture
memed
of
on.
Richter.
Now I'm getting memed on, huh? Yeah, but let's say it's like this picture, right? Like you can see the bumps, you can see the shoulder, which you can see right here, but then the other shoulder is photoshopped out. That's the theory. Whether it's true or not, we don't know. We have yet to know. But that is the theory.
Talk about the FHN stuff before we
do it.
call it a day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're not okay. We're gonna make an announcement about an announcement right this second about some FHN things.
I sent you something on the DMs that you can show them.
That I can show them.
Ooh,
I've made the decision
juicy.
that this is good enough that we can leak. All right, so I think if you guys are familiar with Smite Fire and MOBA Fire,
Oh my gosh.
you guys will know that guide sharing is pretty important to a MOBA, and it's pretty integral to like a game's development and how the community understands knowledge. So there is no confirmed date because we are a small team that are working our butts off to try to get this to you guys, and we all do it voluntarily. But we are pushing for an unnamed project that will replicate Smitefire's purpose for Fault. And it's one of the biggest projects I've ever encountered on. So I hope everything works out well, and the community will use this to hopefully improve the game. But yeah, we've already made an announcement like months ago about it, but I thought I'd like show a little bit about what it is. So
now we're still leaps and bounds ahead of this. Like we are, like it's quite a while. Hang on.
People are still guessing the hero. They're like, we don't care. They're like, we don't care about your work. 14 times literally said, pull up a picture of Gadget. Okay, we're firing him from FHN.
You know what? Whatever.
You're gone.
Listen,
you're gone.
We're still leaps and bounds away out of it. Like, don't expect us anytime soon. But we plan on building basically a something similar to MOBA Fire or MOBA Analytics, but for Fault, with a name that is to be determined.
Got a name.
It's
got a name.
Well, okay, it's got a name, but we're not telling them the name. We ain't telling them the name. Yeah, and Balix, obviously you can see he has negative 90 likes, 17 FR. This is a solo build.
Honestly.
The best guide you will ever see. It's a picture of Balix, you know. So the point of this, why we're gonna do this without going into too much, because we're gonna have to do a bit more. We wanna help the community help each other. We wanna help them help each other at becoming better players and to grow the community. And I think this is a super fantastic way to do it. So that's it. Well, okay, what does your whiteboard say?
It says Fire Balix.
That's it?
Yeah.
It's okay. Well, that's on the to-do list of Kodiris. Fire Balix.
True.
Yeah, that's my goal. It's my life goal.
That actually looks really good. Like, it says FHN site project Fire Balix, and then you can't make out what the other things say.
Yeah, it's a couple things there.
It's like
That's
it's
that's important.
It's pretty good. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, I guess we'll call it there. Is there anything else that you would like to say, Kodiris or Norweginator?
I love all of you.
Yeah, 14 says they can't see us. You hit us.
That's fine.
I understand I'm ugly, alright? You don't need to rub it in my face.
That's fine. There you go. We'll make it full screen.
No, I mean, thank you for having me. It's my first time on here. It's a blast. And I love talking about the game. I think the game.
I don't see that dodge. Someone gonna be proud of me.
I think even though the game is in a kind of rough state here, I think, holy hell, shut up, Norweginator.
I couldn't help it. It was too exciting.
Oh my god.
Why would you be so mean to me?
Anyway, I think we're heading in the right direction, and I implore people to keep faith in it. Just keep grinding out some of these rough games, and keep loving the game.
Awesome. So who are we gonna host? It's not gonna be Norweginator. No offense. It's gonna be this guy. I've seen this guy.
Wait, why was that so quick?
Because I don't want to host you today.
Yeah.
Today, you've never hosted me.
Yeah, well, maybe
you don't even accept subs. How can you be hosted?
Yeah. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna bring it to one final song as we do find someone to play, someone to raid. We always ask you to stay along, send the raiders a follow. We always like to do someone new every single stream. Give them a little bit of gas, grow the community.
Remember, we live or die as a community. Spread all the love you can. Give them positive vibes. Tell them what's up. Tell them you appreciate them and all the work that they're putting into their streams.
Absolutely. And, wait. Not this song. Okay, well, let's go with this song. What up, Flippity Flop, though? This is Stranger or Big Moose. This is our Faultarian Journal number 16. This is our 27th journal overall. We've been doing this for 27 weeks or 2 weeks. taken out, so 25 weeks. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Thank you for all the follows. Thank you for the subs. We do this every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern. This was Stranger. That is Kodiris, our guest host. Might have having more time. That is Norweginator, aka Norway, aka Swedenator, aka Jeremias, aka super fantastic guy. GottaGetSwole, fortunately, was busy today. He is working. He does like crazy 14-hour days. He's on call. Steve just started his master degree, who's EssayRead, so he is very busy as well. Thank you. Let's get a raid going.